recording and then share my screen. Okay, so it sounds like you guys are pretty familiar with logging in and everything. So this is the dashboard. This is a great place to find all of your insureds when you work on them. So just as a review of Uplink, if you don't have it downloaded, up on this dashboard up top under Tools, you'll choose Uplink, and then you'll click on this Download Uplink Driver button. Just make sure that your Outlook is closed, because if it's not closed, it'll just have an error message to make you close it. So it takes like a minute to install. It doesn't take very long. If you get, if you're having problems downloading it, let me know. It might be something else going on, but you shouldn't run into any problems if you have your Outlook closed. Okay, so I talked to Chrissy earlier, and this training is specifically for uplinking Accord forms and then going over Loss Runner. If you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me, or if I'm mistaken on something, Chrissy, let me know. But I'm going to start with uplinking my Accords. There are two ways to uplink your Accord forms. You can open them up. I have them on my desktop. Yours might be in your agency management system. You're going to open them up, click on your print button, and then you want to make sure your print or destination is Appulate Uplink, and then you'll click print, and then a pop-up shows up asking you to validate your Appulate credentials. The second way to utilize Uplink is a super popular shortcut. You just simply right-click on those Accord forms and choose Uplink from your drop-down menu, and then that pop-up appears to ask you to validate your credentials again. Some people like shortcuts, some people don't like shortcuts until they have an understanding of the system and the process. So it's really there for you to utilize what's comfortable for you. Valerie's just coming in, by the way. So once your credentials are confirmed, your workstation is going to open up Appulate and ask you to confirm the desired line of business that you want to work on. So if you drop this down, Appulate is going to recommend some lines of business depending on your Accord forms, because the system is smart enough to know that the Accord 130 I'm trying to uplink most likely applies to these 5 different lines of business. If that's not applicable to you, you also have access to all of our lines of business. So if it's mistaking, you don't like what we're giving you as recommended, you have access to everything. I'm going to just click on Work Comp, and then you'll click Continue, and you're taken to the Smart Q&A section. Any questions on how I got to this page? Okay, I'll take silence as a no. Before we start Loss Runner, just to review a few things with you guys, this is your Master Insured tab. So this was automatically created based off of the information you provide on your Accord form. It will not change unless you change or add additional information to it. There's also a contact section in here. So if you, I put Nicole as my contact on my Accord form, so she populated into the system. If you don't have a contact, or you need multiple contacts in here, to the right-hand side, you can add them right here. This is your submission tab. It's labeled with the line of business you're working on, the effective date, and the current status of your submission. So my Accord forms are past the effective date. If you need to change the date like I do, just click on the date. I prefer the calendar tool. You can type it in too, and then you can change the date to whatever you need it to be. If the date is changed, all currently existing forms and any newly added forms will automatically update with the new effective date. So that original Accord that you uplinked at the beginning, you won't have to go back and change the date yourself. Appulate will do it for you. And then the last piece I like to do, I like to add my contact to the main record to begin with. That way, in case I need to email, or for Loss Runner, they will populate onto the letter. So to do that, just click on No Main Contact over to the right-hand side, and then you'll add your contact. Any questions about those 3 things before I dive into Loss Runner? Okay, so Loss Runner. We're going to go straight to the left-hand side and click on Loss Run. And then you see Agora West right here, and that's because I included prior carrier information on my Accord form. That's why they populated, and you see them right here. If you don't put prior carrier information or you need to add more information, you'll click on Edit Insurance History, and then you can fill out whatever you need right here. So let's say they were with Travelers. I'm going to type in a few letters for Travelers, and then you do have to wait for this list to appear. That's because we have certain fax numbers and email addresses attached to these carriers. So wait for this list to appear and then choose from the list. And then you can delete whatever you want. You do have to do year by year on this screen, but if they were with somebody for like 5 years, once you click save, they will combine on this screen. So loss runner, we're gonna go to the right-hand side, click on the send loss runner button, and then the request type will automatically default to letter of authorization. It's the most commonly used request type in our system, and it does require an insured signature, because what a letter of authorization is, it's a letter directly from the insured sent to the carrier, giving the carrier permission to return loss runs to you as the agent. So this is a great way to, let's say you're working on a new business prospect and they are having a heck of a time getting loss runs from their current agent, because we all know those difficult agents are out there. They don't want to give them up. This is a great way to bypass that agent and go straight to the market. We also have other request types in the system. If you drop this down, we have a broker of record letter, agency loss run request letter, and an insured loss run request letter. And we're working to add no loss run letter or no known losses and audit report requests. But I'm going to talk you guys through letter of authorization. So starting at the top, Appulate will populate your insured's information. If this is ever red, just click on this little pencil and it'll tell you exactly what you need to fill out. It's followed by the market that you're requesting loss runs from, including an editable destination. So click on this, drop this down. Appulate does our best to have the correct fax number and email addresses for loss run requests in our system, but when they change that, they do not tell us. So you do have a diligence on your part as the agent to make sure that that destination is correct, because a lot of places have different fax numbers or emails for lines of business or even regions. So if you know you have a specific fax number and email address you need to use, make sure you change it to whatever you use. If it's not in here, you can add them and they will stay there for future use. And then you'll click save. And then the letter is followed by the policy number and the policy period for the insured. And then it concludes with the body of the letter itself, which provides the market with the return destination being yourself as the agent. And then your insured's information will be down below. So I'm just going to click on this. I just need an email address for her. And then you'll click save, and that's all of the information you need. So then you'll send it off to your insured. Your insured will get a mobile-friendly link, and they have to electronically sign it. So for this loss runner to work, they do have to click on the link and electronically sign it. They cannot print the letter out and sign it and then scan it back to you. They have to electronically sign it. And once they sign it, Appulate will automatically send this letter out to the destination you confirmed in this letter. So you don't have to come back into Appulate after the insured signs it and click any buttons. It automatically gets sent out to the market. I also like to tell people to check this little box right here. So let's say in 10 days you don't have loss runs back from the market after the insured signs it, of course. Appulate in 10 days will send another signed letter out on behalf of the insured requesting those loss runs again. So again, you don't have to do any manual work. It just automatically gets sent out after you press send and you click OK. So once you click OK, again, this will get sent to your insured via a mobile-friendly link. Once they sign it, this little bubble will be green and it'll say signed by insured. And then another line below that, it'll say sent to this destination that you confirmed in the letter. If you did check that box to have another signed letter to be sent out in however many days, but you already get those loss runs back, the way to avoid sending another signed letter out to that marketplace is to attach the loss runs in Appulate. So Appulate will track and timestamp all actions related to loss runner, with the exception of when loss runs are returned to you by the market. So you're going to get those loss runs back as you normally would. And then when you get those back, you want to come back into Appulate and attach them to get it ready for your submission, if you're going to do a submission, or to shut off that automatic request. So to do that, you're going to go to the right-hand side for the market you're attaching it to. Go to those 3 little dots and upload your loss runs. This also timestamps who uploaded the loss runs and when. So there is record of who did it and when. Let's say you're having a hard time, your insured hasn't signed it yet, maybe it's been a couple of days. If you click on this little bell right here, it sends them a reminder to sign them. And that's really loss runner. That's the whole loss runs. Any questions on that?
Jessica, once we receive loss runs, is there any other workaround alternative to attaching loss runs within Appulate? Because our intention is really just to use Appulate at this time for obtaining the loss runs. So once we get those, we would typically just attach them to our system. We wouldn't, attaching them to Appulate would just be another step. So is there any way to avoid that additional work?
Not right now, but I can go back and see if my boss has any ideas about it. The only way to not have to attach them is to not check that box to send another letter out. So if you want to try it that way, because most people, if they get someone who's not green, if you do get somebody that's giving you pushback and saying, no, they need to go through their agent to get these, push back and say that they legally have to abide by this letter, because it's not a letter from you as the agent, it's a letter from the insured. And ultimately, that's really their client. So they do have to legally abide by this letter. But most people, if they have the correct fax number or email address for requests, once it's out of our system, it's really in the hands of the carrier. So however long it takes them to return those loss runs, it's really in their hands. But a lot of people I've talked to, they get them back like 1 to 3 business days.
Okay.
So if you don't want to attach them, that's totally fine. Just don't check the box on that follow-up.
And the Accord form that you would recommend, say we have multiple policies and multiple carriers that we need to request the loss runs for, would you recommend just an Accord 125 to bridge that just initial client data, and then we could then just input all of the carriers?
Yeah, so like, they all have different policy numbers, so I'm assuming you have to go to different carriers.
I mean, I'm just thinking the extreme case. You know, we have a carrier with a comp carrier.
Yeah, 125 definitely easy, but if you do a specific Accord 120, maybe it's a 140, it's usually that's property. But if you to create other lines of business to request them, just click on this little arrow and you can do whatever. Maybe you're doing a BOP, you can do it here, and then you can go straight to the loss runs and edit your information for that line of business as well.
Okay. And does Appulate, the only notice we would get if the insured signs the loss run authorization request, is that notification is just generated in Appulate? There's no other separate email or anything that's sent to us?
Yeah, you'll get an email letting you know that they signed it.
Okay.
And then all of the record is also kept in our system pretty thoroughly. I mean, you'll see it in the loss run section, as well as in the activity tab. If you ever, in this activity tab, if you ever want to put this in your agency management system just for record, you can export it to Excel and it creates a log and you can save it in your system if you need to. Some people like to.
Okay, that's great. That's all the questions I have. Does anyone else have questions? Well, I think we're good at this point. We'll go ahead and
Okay.
start working with the loss runner tool. And, if we have any questions, we'll definitely reach out with any issues. But, I appreciate your time today going through this. And if you could send that recording to me following the meeting, that would be great.
Yeah. One note, if the fax number doesn't work, it'll say operation failed in here, but you'll get a notice that it doesn't work as well. So it's in our system, but you'll also get notification as well. And then you'll just have to fix the destination. Unfortunately, another letter will have to be signed by the insured because it's going to a different destination. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll convert this recording into a YouTube link, and I will send it over to you once it's converted. And if you guys have any troubles with anything, or you need me to go over this again, just shoot me an email. Chrissy, feel free to share my email address with your team. I'm happy to help out.
Okay, that sounds great. I appreciate your time today. Thank you, Jessica.
Yeah. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you.
I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
Thanks.